Hey everyone, how's it going? Are you making this common mistake when applying your panel prep spray prior to ceramic coating a vehicle? And maybe it's causing you issues either on the leveling process, or maybe your coatings are failing sooner than they should and you're not sure why. So I'm going to show you what that mistake is, how to avoid it, and the proper way to do it. And if you join me, you're going to have everything you need to know by the end of the video. Okay, before I get too far into this, I'm gonna give a big disclaimer. I stole this video idea from Barry Thiel from SP3 Coatings, and with his permission, I decided to make it for YouTube, which is a little bit easier to find than his Facebook Live video that he did on this subject. This is a pretty common mistake that we make, and I made it recently, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I do think we need to focus on basics sometimes in this industry, or all industries really, and we are striving for perfection in maybe more advanced techniques, and we let some of the core fundamental basics slip, either occasionally or we gloss over it. And so I'm going to show you how not to make this mistake, and this will make your coating last longer. It will not fail early as it would if you make this mistake, and also may solve problems with leveling the coating. So what you'll see a lot of, and I'm guilty of doing this before, is we'll spray the panel prep spray. Now we use SP3 Ready, but this is going to apply to any solvent-based panel prep. We spray this solvent and we simply wipe it on the panel. And if you watch my SP3 Ready video, it's best to either flip it over and buff it off, or use a second towel entirely. Right here I'm using a Buff Master from Auto Fiber to buff it off, but two is better than one. A second wipe towel entirely, but in a pinch you can just fold this towel and flip it over. So we see that, and that is the way we do not, I say again, this is the way we do not want to do the panel prep on this hood. This is a mini test hood. And that is because the panel prep spray, the purpose of it is to get into the pores of the paint and get rid of those oils and contaminants from the polish and compound. And when we spray it on the towel and we wipe it across the panel and then we buff it off, it doesn't have the opportunity to soak into the pores of the paint, and therefore doesn't fully remove the oils or residue, and it doesn't just have to be compound or polish residue, but it doesn't remove those residues, and it doesn't properly prepare the surface for a ceramic coating. And so this happens usually, this mistake is made usually for one of two reasons. One, people are spraying it into the towel, or in my case, and I'll tell you where I made this mistake, and I actually mentioned this in my SP3 Ready video. What can happen is if you miss a spot when you're wiping off the solvent prep, it can actually leave a streak that doesn't come off nearly as easily as if you catch it right away. It almost could be like a high spot ceramic coating wipe type situation, although not as bad as a fully cured ceramic. And you can use like an aerosol glass cleaner or something to get that off if it happens. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I have in the past sprayed it and then missed a spot wiping, which caused me an issue later, and I was maybe a little gun shy, for lack of a better word, and so I wasn't being liberal with the panel prep spray. And so what we really want to do is we want to really wet this panel down. And if you look at this hood, you can see it's pretty wet, okay? And that's what we're going for. And that panel prep spray is going to penetrate the pores of the paint, and it's going to remove the compound and the polish from the paint. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come, and I'll try not to shake the camera too much, but we're going to come back and then we're going to wipe it off. And there's still streaks on it, so I'm going to use my second towel to kind of lightly buff the rest off. Okay, and now if you notice, and you won't be able to see this on camera, but if you notice, a lot of times if you don't use that amount or that proper technique in the solvent prep, the surface will glide. So this surface is still smooth, but it has a catchiness to it. Okay, so like my finger catches on it compared to, you know, if you just were to wipe the polish off, it has that super smooth gliding, and we don't want that. We want that somewhat grabby feeling before we apply the ceramic coating. And now where I was having an issue personally was I did not let it soak enough, and then I applied the ceramic coating, and the ceramic coating during the leveling process was hazing. And so it would wipe off completely, and then it would haze back almost like a hot air onto a piece of glass or a piece of paint. And so ultimately, the issue here is lack of solvent-based panel prep done correctly. And if you make that mistake where you either are wiping it on the towel and then buffing it off, or you're not letting it dwell, or you're not getting enough on there, you could run into that issue, or you could run into a ceramic coating that fails early. And it fails early because the surface was not properly prepped. Now, you don't have to conduct a paint correction every single time before you apply a ceramic coating, but you do have to do a proper panel prep wipe down. And again, like I said, we use SB3 Ready, but you can use a panel prep spray. The advice that I'm giving you here applies to any of them. We've used Meguiar's M122, we've used Americana Global, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It still applies to this surface, okay? And so I hope you're not making that mistake. But if you are, maybe you're getting clients that are coming back to you early with failed coatings, or maybe you're running into some issues during the leveling process. Think to yourself, are you doing this panel prep process correctly? And so I hope this video helps, and you can thank Barry Thiel from SB3 Coatings for giving me the idea to make this video, and I hope this was informative. So definitely check out our other videos on the subject.